So I found myself explaining this for the third time this week, so I figured I might as well make a TED Talk about it. It is basically me trying to explain how wrong the world is about pretty much everything. Um, and I figured out how to kind of relate it in terms where I can explain it and possibly it could be understood how fouled up we are as humans. I started thinking about things in terms of the neurology of people and different capabilities they have and brain compositions, neurological divergences, neurological similarities, and I started thinking about autistic savants. I started doing a little research about it and found that there are two types of memory in your brain. And in an autistic savant's brain, the wiring is crossed into the wrong arena of the brain storage. So, for instance, an autistic savant that can play the piano, like Beethoven, and at a very young age, perhaps has made the association of the piano to colors, the part of the brain that does the storage and processing for colors. And with that connection made, it allows that person to understand the piano way, way differently than you or I understand the piano, and allows them to visualize and interpret via colors the notes on the piano. Similarly, with savants that can do math, they may equate these things to shapes. The part of the brain that does the processing for shapes, and it's a cross wiring where it is not wired the same way that a normal person's brain is wired. So let's talk about that for a second. Normal. What exactly do we mean by that? And who is defining what is normal? And why do they get to define that? Because when I think about a person that can do complex math in their head without putting much effort into it, or play the piano like Beethoven without taking a lesson, I think they're wired correctly in that arena. Not abnormally. It's the rest of us that have a lot of catching up to do to figure out how to get our brains wired the same way their brains are wired, so that we can be superhuman too. The way that this works is that everybody has a misinterpretation of what is supposed to be and where you are supposed to land and how you are supposed to do things. I'm here to tell you they are all horribly wrong, and I can highlight this. If I were to ask you, and presuming that you are not a physicist, and perhaps had some encounters with physics in high school math, or maybe you took a college physics course, or maybe you've done some independent studies of physics, provided that you do not do physics for a living. If I asked you to solve a physics problem and handed you one, all of us out there are very bright. And, while some of us have better math aptitudes than others, I'm pretty sure everybody can work through whatever physics problem is presented to them, given the right amount of time and resources and understanding. However, if I were to ask you if you were out in your yard and there was 30 miles of wind to the northwest and your friend was standing 10 yards away from you and you threw a baseball at him, how close would you come to hitting him or her? For the ones that aren't completely uncoordinated in that arena, you'd come pretty close. Well, guess what? This is the physics that it takes to do that. And this is the physics and the problems that you solved in your head without thinking about it whatsoever. So how can this be? How can you be so good at physics in your head when you don't have to think about it and you don't have to actually solve the problem, and then when it comes time that you are presented the problem, you have no idea how to solve it? It is because at some point, some wonderful group of people got together and decided how they were going to represent physics. But it goes further back than that, because they decided how they were going to represent numbers. And some Neanderthal came out of his cave and decided he needed to count things for some reason, and he looked at his hands and said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bingo. There you go. There's the number system. The problem is that number system is not in line with the mathematics of the universe. And so when we put math into the category of the number system, we are squeezing something into a shape that it doesn't belong in. So the people that are good at math, the people that are good at physics, they're actually not good at math or physics or have a higher talent in that than, say, anyone else. They just have the ability to perform the abstractions required to squeeze that math into that defined pattern that somebody has decided is a fabulous idea to make everything difficult for everybody else. So the problem is not that we cannot do these things. The problem is not that we cannot understand these things. The problem is that we are taught that you have to do it one way. And if you don't have the ability and you don't have that part of the brain that has the ability to do those abstractions, you are told that you are not good at that. Guess what? That's a lie. There's so much stuff you're good at. There's so much stuff you're good at that you don't even know you're good at. And it's because you try to be good at it in the same way that everybody has told you you have to be good at it. I am telling you to unleash your brain. I am telling you to figure out how you need to think about things. Don't try to think about things the way you've been taught. Don't try to squeeze your brain into some small container it doesn't fit in. Your brain is huge. Your brain is capable. Your brain can do anything. Unleash it and let it do what it wants to do.